Welcome to KCKPS Spotlight. I'm Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, and I have some special guests joining me today. If you've been following the Spotlight, I've had a couple of co-hosts to jump in and out, and so I have a new co-host today, and I'm super excited because I always love talking directly to teachers and students, and I have a teacher and a student joining us today to talk about AVID. But before we jump into that story, we're going to have each of them introduce themselves. So I'll start right here with Dr. Ervin.
Hello, I'm Dr. LaShonda Bilbo-Ervin, Executive Director of Secondary Schools here in KCK.
We'll pitch it to you.
Hello, my name is Irma. I'm part of AVID here at Argentine Middle School, and I'm in 8th grade.
Thank you, Irma. I'm Alexis Estrada. I am an 8th grade math teacher. I also teach the AVID elective, and I'm also the site coordinator for the building here at Argentine.
Okay, so I'm excited. If you know me, you know that I am a huge supporter of AVID. And just to give those listening a little context about what AVID is an organization that's been around for 45 years at least. And what AVID stands for is Advancement via Individual Determination. Its mission is to close the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college and career readiness and success in a global society. So we have AVID in all of our secondary schools and majority of our in all of our secondary schools, which are middle and high school, and then majority of our elementary, but we have a plan to get it in all of our elementaries. But one of the people who've been along my side, and actually is the reason that it actually is going, is Dr. Ervin. And so I'm going to let her just share a little bit about, well, I'll ask her a question so it's just not all over the place. Dr. Ervin, can you share, and I just want to give her a shout out. We've been doing this for 5 years now, like between the planning and implementing, and she's been right there, and she's like our go-to person for AVID as well as AVID on the national and local level when we need to make stuff happen. So Dr. Ervin, how has AVID been implemented throughout the district?
So we started with our 5-year implementation plan. So originally we started with all 5 comprehensive high schools and 2 middle schools. From there, we've grown, and now here in year 5, we have left to onboard 6 elementary schools, and then all schools K through 12 in our district will be AVID at the end of the 26-27 school year.
Okay, and we're excited about that. Can you knew AVID before we came to AVID, right? Yes. So can you just talk a little bit about your history and background with AVID, and then a little bit about when you heard we might be doing AVID? Just talk about what that means to you.
Sure. So I was an AVID student back in 7th grade. So I'm originally from Wichita, and so we had AVID at my middle school. I continued it at my high school, and then after high school, I went off to college, but I stayed local. I went to Wichita State, and so I was able to be an AVID tutor for one of our local middle schools in the area, and I was an AVID tutor, I think, for about 4 years or so, and then I became a teacher, and before I left to come to Kansas City, I did teach AVID for 1 year in Wichita. And so AVID has been part of my life for the majority of it. And so I think that's kind of how I have, all of this experience from the student perspective, the tutor perspective, and now as a teacher.
Okay. And as a teacher, can you just, like, being an AVID student and now being the teacher, if we weren't doing AVID when you came here and you had the opportunity to, like, pitch it to me or Dr. Ervin, what would you say why we should invest or continue to invest in AVID?
Yeah, no, that's great that you mentioned that, because when I first came here, KCK did not have AVID, and so that was something that I was kind of exploring. And one day I just filled out a form on their AVID website, not thinking that anything would come of it, and then I got a call, and it turns out I think Harmon also was interested, and so that's kind of how the conversation started. So then I did have to pitch it to my principal at that point, and so I just talked to Dr. Sorrells, and I mentioned to her that this is going to be a really big movement that KCK is going to kind of get onto, and I kind of told her like this is going to be beneficial for students but also teachers, and that's one thing that AVID is for both. It's for students and for teachers, and so it'll just make a really big impact on our instruction, on our students, on the learning environment, and even like the building culture. And so that's kind of how I presented it to her, and luckily we were able to be on board on that first year.
As the student, can you tell us how many years you've been in AVID and how it has impacted you? Like, what do you love about AVID or like about AVID?
I've actually been in AVID for 2 years. I started in 7th grade, and AVID has really helped me a lot because when I had first came here, I wasn't on point. And thanks to AVID, now I'm very organized with all the things I do here, and I feel very proud of all the things I do in AVID.
So if you had to ask other students or tell other students about AVID, what would you say? Why would other students want to be a part of it?
AVID is not just a class. It's something very special where you learn a lot of different skills and prepare yourself for new things and for things that are in the future, and like what you're exploring. So I would say that, yeah.
That's great.
Dr. Ervin, I know you're support the secondary schools, but you've been a part of making sure AVID is implemented with fidelity across all of our schools. Talk about the difference between AVID at the elementary level and what it looks like in our middle and high schools.
The biggest difference with AVID in the secondary and AVID in elementary is that in the secondary, we have the AVID elective class. So in AVID elementary, it's school-wide where all students learn and really become invested in the Wicker strategies. So even as early as pre-K and kinder, students start to work on 2-column and 3-column notes. Students start to organize their binders and really start to work in their planners. So really, in the elementary, we're teaching the foundation and the basics of Wicker strategies for all of our students, really to set them up to be successful students right from the very beginning.
Thank you, because Wicker is the foundation, one of the foundational strategies of AVID. And what Wicker stands for is writing, inquiry, collaboration, organizing, and reading. And that is something like everybody needs, regardless of what you are doing. As can both of you kind of talk about like how you've utilized that strategy, the Wicker strategy, and what improvements or impact it may have had on you as a teacher and a student?
So utilizing Wicker is kind of like a really big, I'd say like task, I guess. However, as a teacher, you kind of just want to incorporate elements of Wicker in your daily lessons. And so we might not hit, all 5 components, but as long as you are hitting a few, I think that's going to be beneficial for all students. Some of the ones that are kind of in your routines and procedures are like organizational strategies that you have in your classroom, how you have students store their materials, their work items, how you have them record like their learning, how you have them kind of like reflect on their learning. All of those things are kind of incorporated as well as, collaboration strategies, how you have students work in partners or in groups. All of those things are kind of just like overall best practices, but with a little bit more intention behind them.
Perfect.
Yeah, like Ms. Estrada was saying, we might not use all those skills, but they do really help us as students with our work, our organization, our collaboration with our peers.
One of the things, because you mentioned you were the AVID site coordinator here, what I love about AVID is the professional development opportunities that our teachers can be a part of. Talk about some of the ways that you've helped to ensure that all teachers receive that professional development from AVID here at Argentine.
Yeah, so we utilize our Wednesday afternoons to do building-wide AVID, like professional development. Sometimes we break into grade level content teams, or sometimes we do subject content teams. And so within those teams, we kind of go through, AVID does have professional learning modules that we use. And so some of us in the building are trained to facilitate those, and we've utilized those tremendously throughout these past 5 years, just to make sure that all of our teachers have the opportunity to be AVID trained, in different, I guess, like focus areas, because we do focus on different things every year. And so we just want to make sure that our teachers have like the tools needed in order to kind of implement those things in their classrooms.
So, have you used what you've learned in your AVID class and your other classes? And how has that impacted your other classes?
Yes, I have. It has really helped me a lot with my organization, my skills. As a tutor, I am also a tutor. It has helped me as a tutor, helping my group out, feeling comfortable with each other, staying on task, on point, having the confidence with all my teachers, the respectfulness of that needs to be shown through all my teachers, not just my AVID teachers, but all of my teachers, and having that mindset that all of my classes have a purpose.
So tell us the type of activities and projects that students are working on in your AVID elective classes.
Yeah, so our AVID elective class is kind of split up into different parts. So one part is like the tutorials, where students have a question, or they gather a question from a core class and they present it, with the group, and they work together to kind of solve that question. The other part is involved, or does involve, working on a lot of college and career research projects. They kind of develop from 6th to 8th grade. By the time they're 8th grade, they've done it, a few times to where they should be kind of like experts on whatever college they might be interested in, or whatever career they might be interested in after graduation. We really do try to have them have some kind of a plan. And so specifically like in 8th grade, we work a lot on like high school enrollment and like the high school transition. And so specifically here at Argentine, besides the college and career research projects, and as well as like self-advocacy lessons and like digital citizenship lessons and things like that, we had students prepare for a big interview day that happened a few weeks ago. And so that's one of our major projects that we kind of work on. We have students, research a career. We have them build resume, like skills-based resumes. That way they're kind of prepared for not only transitioning into high school, but also a lot of them are becoming of age of where they can start applying for jobs outside of school. And so we just want to make sure that we kind of hit all of those like big milestones. That way they're actually ready for, life after middle school.
So what has been your favorite project? Or do you have a favorite?
Yes, I would just say the job interviews.
Oh?
They were the best. I got hired 4 times. And
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I felt very prepared, and I was very excited to meet all these new people.
Yeah. So you're not interviewing today, but you said you love tutoring. And if you want to be a teacher, we would hire you. We'll give you a contract today if you want to commit. It's just great to hear about those projects and to hear about how those things translate as you go into high school. And last year was actually our first year to have a graduating class of AVID students. So we're excited to start to have that data that's reflected across the nation that we can share out with our community about the investment that we're making in AVID.
So you're eighth grade, getting ready to go to the big high school. So you've been on this AVID journey. And so, of course, when you get to high school, whichever high school you choose in our district, AVID is there. Will you continue your journey? And what do you think, being a part of AVID in middle school, how do you think that's going to impact the high school experience for you?
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to being in high school with AVID, exploring new things, getting to know new topics, new things, and I feel like right now AVID has really taught me a lot of things for the future and how it's going to help me for my career and how it has prepared me a lot for all the things that are coming ahead.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, is there anything that any of you would like to last say about AVID before we close out this podcast? I have a few things, but I want to give you a chance. Any closing words, anything you want to say to our listeners about AVID?
I think I would just say, as a teacher, if you have the opportunity to be in a building that has AVID, I would definitely kind of approach it with like an open mind. A lot of the things do feel like, oh, these are things we already do, which is true because they are, best practices, but kind of look at it in a different lens of how can I be more intentional with these things? And then for parents and students listening, I would say if you are going to a school that has AVID, I would definitely give it a shot. Because I do think it's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime type of experience to kind of go through the AVID program, even if it's just for like 1 year, or even if you haven't been in it in middle school but want to try it in high school. I do think that it's like really beneficial for just like all students, like future, just getting them ready to be just productive members of society after graduation.
Awesome. What about you?
I definitely agree with Mrs. Estrada. AVID is not just a program that helps you for the future, but it helps you in a lot of different things that prepares you for future goals and future majors. And that if you really do have the opportunity, you should definitely try AVID. It's amazing. Yep.
Dr. Ervin?
I think going on our journey, I definitely want to credit Dr. Stubblefield for her vision in bringing this. It has been an intensive journey to bring all 40 of our schools into the AVID fold, but it's been amazing. And I think that our schools and our educators have grown so much. I'm excited that this summer Kansas City is hosting the AVID National Summer Institute. I'm excited to see our teachers and our students this year be a part of the Summer Institute. So much energy from educators across the country. And I'm excited to continue the work.
Yeah. Yep. We're excited to be a host for the AVID Summer Institute today, but I would be remiss if I didn't put a little data about the impact of AVID, not only here in our district, but across the nation. AVID across the nation reports on average 98% of the students who are a part of AVID graduate on time. And some schools, districts actually even report 100% graduate on time. 94% of those students go on to enroll in college, and others could go on to career and technical pathways, which is what we want and is like the emphasis for our Diploma Plus program. And then several of them also go directly, 89% go directly to a four-year college. But what we see that AVID provides for our students is that confidence and the skills to do whatever they choose when they leave high school. So we're excited to continue to provide this to all of our students, and we're excited about hosting the Summer Institute. Bringing AVID to KCKPS was personal for me as well. I had the privilege of in 2 prior districts, one suburban affluent district and one college district, where AVID was offered to all of the students. And in one of those districts, my own son was a part of it. My husband and I are both educators, and my husband's like, he's not an AVID kid. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But he ended up being recommended for AVID because he truly needed AVID. He was not on point. So AVID since I've been here in Kansas City, Kansas public schools, I have always said the opportunities, the skills, and those things that have helped my sons be successful, I want to ensure that every student has those opportunities and are exposed to the same things, because all of the students here are like my own personal kids. So that was a part of me being adamant about bringing AVID here as well. Couple of other exciting things happening in the district. We're here at Argentine Middle School today. If you follow, the background's a little different, but Argentine is one of the schools that we're going to build a brand new Argentine. In about 2 years, they'll be in a new spot. So you can come back and visit and see all of the hard work. But if you want to know what's happening with the bond, we have several projects happening. Please visit our website where you can find information about the bond. And I encourage you to visit our website for other information. And there's a little tab there. I believe it says Ask the District or something like that. And if you have any questions, you can put them there and we will get back to you. So to my guests, thank you again for taking the time to talk about the AVID program, and thank you for listening or watching us today on KCKPS Spotlight. And remember, you can find this podcast on whatever platform you enjoy listening to podcasts on, or visit our website at kckschools.org. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.